How can you make $1,000 in an hour? What do the markets do when there's political shocks, geopolitical, wars, things like that? We're going to hit those topics and some other exciting ones today. This is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and Corey's alone. So, I had a client the other day ask me what happens if there is a war. What happens in the stock market? And I thought the best time to actually share something on that is when we're not in the middle of a war. Like let's talk about something before it happens rather than react. So I'm going to talk about that topic, but first I'm going to talk about the boring topic, just a quick update on the government shutdown that we're in the middle of. Corey, I don't know, has your life been majorly affected yet?
Nothing got shut down on my end.
Nothing shut
Except
down
what
on
we're going to
Corey's.
talk about. They certainly didn't shut down my car insurance, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit.
Okay. So I saw this article come out yesterday from First Trust, so thank you to First Trust. Government shutdowns, more drama than damage. So if you've watched the markets continue to reach new highs as the government is shut down, even though they can't release the jobs number today because they can't release that data, it's very interesting to look at this. So what the government spends, 60% of the money is mandatory, so they can't touch it. 27% discretionary, and 13% is interest. Oh, that's painful to think about that part. So right away you're down to only discretionary can be impacted, and 47% of that is national defense. So we continue to kind of slice the pie. No, we did not just put our military on leave and they all, we have no defense. So even though discretionary versus mandatory, there's really not as much that they can shut down as you might think. Furthermore, and this is what I really wanted to focus on, is what happens in the stock market when the government shuts down. So I'm going to drill into this. And if you look at the SPX, we won't worry about gold and the dollar, but the SPX, 1 month after a shutdown, the average return is 3%. That's not bad for a month. In the 3-month return is 6%, and the 6-month return is almost 12%. So, wow. I mean, Corey, that might say, let's just keep it shut down. We're getting pretty good returns there on the S&P 500. What do you think?
Is this like small government, like get out of the way and let us cook?
I don't know. So I just thought it was interesting to see, and we're not going to worry about gold and the dollar. I mean, when you look at it, it's really not that much different or exciting. But, obviously we want our government to operate efficiently. We want our tax dollars spent wisely. We don't really want the government shut down. So, I'm not advocating that. There are valuable services that our government does produce, and we want those to continue. But since we're talking about investing, I thought everyone should be aware. Okay, let me go to another topic. So a client of mine brought this up a day or two ago and said, concerned about, things in the future, geopolitical risks, wars, because they happen. And I said, the market doesn't react as much as you might think. So once again, another slide from First Trust, although I have a similar one from JP Morgan Chase. There may be an initial shock. So when something happens, like when United States was part of bombing Iran, there was a percentage or two drop a day later, but then within a week it recovered. And this looks historically at some major ones. So Israel Hamas, that began on October 7th. The day return's really irrelevant, but 1 year later, the market was up 34%. That's a great return. Russia invades Ukraine. That's still going, right? I mean, 1 year return, down 5%. But of course, this is 2022 when inflation hit. I don't think Russian invading Ukraine had any real impact. It's just the same timing. And, you know, you can see further on 9/11 probably being the most major that most of us would remember. And what I want to focus on is days into the bottom. So the market declined, you know, on 9/11, it declined for 11 days, or it hit its bottom low at 11 days, but it took 30 days to recover. And that was certainly a huge one. So you can see just, you know, as much as you think, like, wow, a war happens, the market really sells off. But in comparison, when they released the tariff information this year, which definitely affected the stock market, it dropped, I want to say around 12 to 15%, depending on which indice you're using. So, you know, that 12 to 15% is a bigger drop, and of course it has recovered. But I figure the best time to look at this is now, when we're not really in the middle of anything. Corey, does that sound reasonable, surprising?
I think it boils down to, obviously you don't want anything bad to happen, but in the event that someone can acquire additional assets at cheaper prices, they should take advantage of that.
Yeah. And sometimes when these things happen, you know, take a tariff example. When there's a initial drop, it's hard to pull the trigger at the bottom. It's hard to be like, yes, I had some cash saved up, I'm going to go more in, because the news media is pushing like, wow, the world is changing shape as we, you know, as this is coming out. So you get scared or concerned, and I totally understand that. So with that, I know everybody's hanging. How do I make $1,000 in an hour in a legal way? From Corey, take us away.
Mike, I got to tell you, so we're I don't know what night it was, but logged into the bank account and saw an extra 3,700 withdrawn from the car insurance company, who supposedly gives you a discount for auto withdrawals, right? They like to do that. I didn't feel like a discount, Mike, when that came across the tape there, but it reminded me of something. It reminded me when I read this back in 2019 from a one Mr. Money Mustache, my favorite personal finance kind of frugality blogger, and I'll also call him a happiness blogger too. He really hones in on the idea that lots of things that people spend money on aren't really correlated to their level of personal satisfaction and happiness in their life. And so if you are spending time outdoors and doing meaningful work and you have a purpose, some of those things that dollars can buy you, you realize they aren't that important really anyways. But he does highlight in this article how complacency is expensive. And he said he noticed a common theme, Mike, and he got me. He got me this week when this came out, or when this happened to me. He said, when I talk to family and friends, I notice a common theme. They tend to set up certain hassle things once and then ignore them as long as possible unless some absolute crisis comes along and forces them to make a change. Well, my complacent self got hit this week in a meaningful way. So we added it up. We were at 70. They had pulled 7,500 from the checking account this year for the two vehicles, and I start asking around, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is different. So we're canceling that today and switching over and doing some calls. But Mike, do you think I'm going to save 7,500 or save $1,000 today?
Well, first of all, I'll say when I've shopped auto insurance, it's taken me more than an hour. So I want to set your expectations that shopping insurance, it takes some calls and that. You know, can you save $1,000 in a year over a few hours of effort? I do think you can do it. And here's the reason why. When you set up those insurance policies a year ago or whatever, your vehicle was worth whatever, a high amount, but you have depreciation. So a year later, your vehicles are worth less. Therefore, you're insuring less when you get the new quote. The auto insurance, they want to keep you paying what you originally set on. So your vehicles are worth less from depreciation. You can do it, Corey. I'll be interested to hear the results of this.
Well, Mike, I appreciate your optimism there, and I am very determined. So a couple other things.
Wait. There's one other factor.
Yes.
That we've got to mention. Do you or your wife have any speeding tickets or accidents in the last 12 months? Maybe you don't want to say it, but if your answer
I
is
haven't
no,
done
then
that. I haven't done that. Mike, I've been in 6 wrecks and I've caused 0 of them. So
wow. I
yeah,
don't know. I find that hard to believe, but whatever. I'm
it's
sure
true.
everybody.
It's true. So it doesn't only stop there. He goes on to highlight throughout this article that you need to basically question everything. Look at every single thing. Do you have additional places where you can get cable from? Do you have additional places where you can get cell phone service? Do you have additional places where you can, like cell phone service? Did I say internet? Additional places where for home insurance, car insurance. He mentioned something about medical insurance here. And I think he even mentioned some other bills as well. I think some people have a few different options for who their electricity provider is. So you might be able to call around. You may not have a choice there though. And he mentioned something about calling on something for student loans too. So he seems convinced that this is a worthwhile thing to do once a year. Just reevaluate and question everything.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that there's years that I have the spreadsheet out and I do both my auto insurance and homeowners because there's usually a bundled discount. So you're going to want to, at least I've wanted to shop them both at the same time. And some companies split them up but it takes some time. And I will tell you one thing that I learned, a recommendation is you're going to see if you start Googling different save auto insurance, you're going to see a thing, hey, we'll give you a quote, put in your phone number. Don't do that because I did that once, learned from my mistake. I put in, hey, I'll take a free quote. And what they do is they send your phone number out to 50 different companies. And within 2 minutes of when I did that, my phone was blowing up. It was just buzz, 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 text messages, all these things for like at least a week. And I mean, I got
Well,
a
what if somebody's feeling lonely though? They could. That's not the worst. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I know, but it was like for a week. I mean, and I got a couple quotes, but I didn't need 50 quotes. And then of course, once you're on their list, I would get them, a month later, hey, just following up to see where you're at. Even a year later, hey, you requested a quote a year ago. So don't do that.
Got it.
All right. Can't wait to hear Monday or Tuesday. Corey will give us an
Oh,
update
I
on
will
how
give
much
you a juicy update.
money he saved. Track your hours. I want to know how much hours of time you spent in there. And of
All
course,
right.
make $1,000 an hour. Now just give me a 40-hour a week job doing that and we'll really be
Hey,
talking.
start calling on everybody's insurance. You're right.
That's right. Awesome. Well, everybody have a fantastic weekend and we will talk to you next week. Bye.